Gin does games!
Hello ladies and gentlemen, Gin here with another League of Legends guide for you. Today we're going to be discussing the fundamental topic of ganking. It's what makes the game go round. It's what breaks up the monotony of simple farming in the laning phase. Joining me now to learn how to gank. So first, what is ganking? I know that's one of the first questions I had when I started this game. It's not really a common term outside of the gaming sphere, particularly outside of MOBAs and MMOs. In general, it means to gang up on a single target. In League of Legends and other similar games, more specifically, it means to attempt to ambush a target, catching them off guard in order to gain your teammates an advantage by either exhausting the target's resources or outright killing them. As you can imagine, this is primarily the purview of the jungler, but anyone can do it. A top laner who excels at pushing can crush their lane and gank mid. The mid laner, being just that, in the middle, can go to either of the lanes easily. In bottom lane, the AD carry and support pair could gank together, or if you have a support that is highly capable of locking down opponents, such as Leona or Blitzcrank, they could gank all by themselves. There are many ways to gank, but the goals are always the same. Kill the target. That is of course the most optimal outcome, but it's not the only acceptable one. For example, you force them to waste their flash, or even both of their simul spells. Great! Those have crazy long cooldowns compared to their other spells, so you have forced them into a much more vulnerable position. If you force them to burn potions, their ultimate, their mana in general, or even get them low enough that they are forced to get back to base, this is also good. In any of these cases, you have put them in a disadvantageous position, forcing them to be more cautious against your allies, removing their ability to harass, or forcing them out of the lane where they can't gain farm or experience. A good gank can also be further capitalized on, allowing you to take an early turret, or, if you're in the bottom lane, take out the dragon. Both if you're crazy. There are several different routes one can take to gank, but the most common is from the river. These are easy and fairly safe to do, anyone can do it, but they are also one of the most easily spotted, as the river entrance to an outer lane is also perhaps the most commonly warded thing in the early game. If you see the enemy backing away as you approach, then you probably got spotted by a ward. Still, if you know it's not warded, there's nothing wrong with popping out from the side to punch their face in. Similarly, but more likely to succeed, you can come around behind your enemies through the tribush or that jungle entrance near mid lane. In this case, your enemy has to actually go through you to escape to the safety of their tower. They're much less likely to see you coming this way. Though you could get spotted through the river if you went through there to loop around behind them, it's also possible to sneak through the enemy jungle to attack them. You might run into their jungler there, but if that's a risk you're willing to take, the rewards can be worth it. Now, you might think this exhausts the spaces to gank from. Well, you'd be wrong. There exist 5 more methods of ganking. The first of these is a direct gank. Direct and straightforward, you come from behind your ally and simply chase down your enemy that way. This can be very difficult to do and is thus limited to only a few champions who have speed on their side or a ton of gap closing abilities. Furthermore, I'd say it's pretty much a last-ditch effort, as there are many other possible options to come from. However, you could instead use this same trajectory for a different kind of gank, a bush gank. In the top lane or bottom lane, if your ally is pushed far up, you can use the opportunity to sneak into the bushes against the wall. Just be careful that the bush isn't warded and their minions don't spot you. If you do manage to get in though, and your enemy pushes back out, a kill is extremely likely. Speaking of wards though, how about teleport? You can teleport to wards your enemies can't see for surprise ganks. Always look for good opportunities to use these. You can do a similar sort of gank with champions who have teleporting abilities like Shen, Twisted Fate, and Pantheon. There is one more location that you can gank from, right under the enemy's tower. This is extremely dangerous, but well worth it if you can pincer them underneath it. Generally, this involves pushing the minions all the way to the enemy tower when the enemy champion is low on health. The ganker will try to attack from behind, as the laner attacks from the front. The minions will take the first few shots until you get into position. The most dangerous thing in this kind of gank is, of course, the tower, particularly in the early game. Getting kited underneath it can easily kill you, but if you and your ally can properly share turret aggro and take the enemy down quickly enough, you can get a kill. Finally, a few champions can gank, in a way, without even showing up. With proper coordination, champions such as Karthus, Soraka, Gangplank, and Ashe can provide a bonus to your teammate, allowing them to pull off a kill without ever having to leave their lane. When looking for a lane to gank, try to gank where your enemy has pushed closest to your tower. Similarly, if you want your jungler or other allies to gank for you, don't push your lane. Not only does it make it more difficult for them, it leaves you all the more susceptible to your enemies ganking you. Your jungler is not going to come help you if you're sitting at your enemy's tower all the time. When you are ganking, be sure your allies are aware of it. Running into attack is all well and good, but if the laner there doesn't notice, what would have been an advantageous fight could become a 1v1 you might lose. So be sure to ping your target, or otherwise communicate to your team that you're coming in to attack, and if there's more than one target, specify which one you want to attack first. Every champion ganks differently, so when you do so, be sure to assess what tools you have available. Do you have red buff? Do your abilities provide crowd control? What kind? Do you have gap closers? How quickly do you move without them? These are all things you should think about when ganking. If you have a gap closer, you might want to use it to enter the fight instantly. But if you also move quickly, say with Boots of Mobility, save it until they try to escape. Similarly, if you have red buff, that applies a slow on your auto attacks. So if that will suffice in keeping the enemy in place at first, save your other abilities, which have a cooldown, for later. Think about your abilities in terms of crowd control and distance. Blitzcrank, for example, has a long-range pull and a knock-up. If possible, don't initiate with the pull. Run in and knock them up. Save the pull for if they try to run away. Think about what your allies have as well. If you both have stuns, you can lock the enemy down for the entire duration of the attack, not even allowing them to move while you kill them. Similarly, consider your target. What escapes do they have? What do you expect them to still have? Some champions, like Soraka, only have flash to escape with. If that's down, she's easy to gank. Others are extremely difficult to gank. Kassadin past level 6, for example, is hardly even worth trying to gank as he can blink out of the fight at will. Knowing what tools your enemies have available makes it all the easier to gank them. If your ally has forced them to burn their flash already, for example, then they will be easier to gank. If your gank fails to get a kill at first, you don't necessarily need to give up immediately. If they decide to stay, you can back off and try again from another angle. Whatever they used to escape last time will have still been burned, so the second attempt may be easier. The most standard example would be to fail a gank from the river and then loop around behind them in the tribush or to tower dive them. Armed with this knowledge, hopefully you now have a better understanding of ganks. Now get out there and get some kills for your team. With that, thanks for watching. If you have enjoyed this guide, please let me know by hitting the like button. Speak up in the comments below if you have advice or questions. We're all here to learn. Subscribe for future content, including champion guides, gameplay guides, and other possibly not lol content. Till next time, I've been Gin, and you've been watching me talk about a video game.
Push back the lane and expose the flank. You don't notice, then they might gank. Try to warn you, but now you'll pay. You didn't know mid was MIA.